My guest on the Culture Crawl is Curt Oren, an Iowa City musician who is with an organization called Improvisation. And this is, you've got your, is this a brand new first event coming up, or have you been at it for a while?
The first one was in August,
Okay.
and I've been doing one a month since then, so this will be the fourth.
Okay, and you've got an event coming up on the 5th of November at the Trumpet Blossom Cafe, and we'll give the full details in a little bit. But in the meantime, tell me about Improvisation. What your goals are with your performances, and also how it a lot of bands, a lot of music opportunities in Iowa City. What makes Improvisation different?
For sure. So this kind of came about. I do a lot of touring by myself and with other bands and everything, and from doing that, I got exposed to a lot of improvised music series around the country. There's this really big one in Brooklyn called the Out of Your Head series, and from that spawned a couple of series in Baltimore and Milwaukee. There's also a lot of things going on in Chicago right now as far as improvised music goes. And this particular kind of improvised music is entirely freeform, and so it's pretty much just get people in a room and just play. And so when I graduated from Northern Iowa in December, and then was touring a pretty good amount until August. And when I got back to Iowa City in August, I knew there wasn't any kind of there is some completely free improvised music happening in Iowa City, but it wasn't organized in any way. And so I got in touch with Katie at the owner of the Trumpet Blossom, and put a few musicians together and just kind of started this improvised music series. And the thing about the Iowa City improvised music series is that the first one that I set up, I kind of threw it together very last minute, because I had just gotten back from a month-long tour 2 days before the thing was supposed to happen, and I was trying to set this up in when I was on the road every single day, and it just wasn't, I couldn't think of musicians that would be interested in doing it, and I didn't think anyone would be interested in doing it. And so I kind of just threw together this thing. I did 2 improvised sets with a drummer, and then my friend's improvised comedy troupe did a performance, and my friend did a painting while all of this was happening. And so that was kind of just a haphazard kind of way to fill out a bill, but it actually turned out really cool. And one of the coolest things about it was that it got a lot of people in the same room that never rub elbows with each other and never get exposed to anything that the other is doing. And so I kind of thought that would be a good thing to keep going, and from that it became a improvised art series as opposed to just music. And so now there's for every single performance some kind of visual art, some kind of performance art, and music, obviously. And so for example, for the next one on November 5th, there will be 5 sets of improvised music, all in different variations. And then my friends Erica and Christopher are going to be doing live performance art and just drawings throughout the entire performance. And so, it's just kind of a complete multimedia full sensory experience, I guess.
Talking with Curt Oren from Improvisation about his upcoming show coming up November 5th at the Trumpet Blossom Cafe. Curt, so you went to the University of Northern Iowa. You're a saxophone player. Did you, were you more classical, more jazz? Were you a music major, or?
Yeah, I majored in jazz studies.
Okay.
I very early on gravitated towards more avant-garde kind of playing. and so there wasn't really a lot of that happening at Northern Iowa either, and so I kind of gravitated towards. Plus, there was this really amazing professor there named Todd Munich who hipped me to just like tons of different kinds of music. One in particular was Colin Stetson, who's a solo saxophonist, and so kind of because there weren't too many people interested in the kind of music that I wanted to do, and because I was really enamored by the solo saxophonist, I gravitated more towards this solo form of playing that's like kind of classical, kind of jazz in a way, but I like to think of it more as like me trying to emulate a folk like guitar singer songwriter kind of person, and so that's the solo kind of thing. And then with the improvised music, it's the kind of stuff that I play is almost entirely like free improvisation, where it's just like is literally just like get in a room with people and then just play. And I've done a lot of improvised things where like I haven't even met the people beforehand, and like haven't heard a single note of music that they've played in my entire life, and we just play, and it sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but usually it sounds pretty cool.
Well, definitely a kind of jazz that is a little different than what a lot of people might be more familiar with, because while improvisation, even challenging improvisation, is a part of a lot of jazz music, usually it's across a standard, or maybe it's an original piece. And I think your comment that sometimes you get in a room with people that you've never met before and start playing music with them is really interesting, because that's the other piece of a lot of jazz, as we think of it, as musicians who know each other, who work together a lot, who can kind of read each other's minds and figure out where to go, even in an improvised piece. So talk to me a little bit about meeting somebody for the first time and then sitting down and trading licks with them.
Yeah, for sure. It's always a very like exciting kind of process, and like there's kind of like a cliche where it's like jazz is a conversation, man, and like that kind of thing. But it's actually very true, and like the more I've thought about it, the more it is very much just like conversing with someone. Like you kind of like play like a musical statement and then see how they react to it, and then vice versa, and then it's just this kind of back and forth. And a lot of times like it takes a while to kind of like figure the other person out and like figure out what they're trying to do, and like kind of get comfortable with the stuff that they're putting out. And so in a lot of ways it's a lot like meeting someone for the first time.
It's like a conversation, only it's the hi, nice to meet you conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just always a very exciting process to kind of just kind of like really as quickly as you can just like try to figure out people's vocabulary, try to figure out their idioms, try to figure out just how they play, how they like what kind of directions they want to be going in, and then following from there. And I've done a lot of free improvisation as well with the same people, and that's even more interesting because you do get to know them and like figure out their tendencies, figure out what they want to do, and you can totally just like create these like amazing like compositions pretty much instantaneously, and it's a lot of fun.
Curt Oren is with IC Improvisation, and he's got an event coming up on November 5th at the Trumpet Blossom Cafe, which is Prentiss Street in Iowa City, right?
310 East Prentiss Street.
And what is the time on the 5th?
7:30 p.m.
And do you have a website, Facebook page, anything that people could go for more information?
There's a Facebook page. I think if you just search Iowa City Free Improvised Art Series, something will come up.
Something that looks vaguely like your event?
Yeah. Or if you really want to, you could send an email to curt.oren@gmail.com with a C, and I'll get back to you eventually.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, Curt, it just sounds like a blast, and I love the way, too, that you're encompassing performance art and visual art, improvised, along with your improvised music, a little something for everybody. So good luck with it, and check in with us from time to time as to what other events you have going on.
Sure, sounds good.
Curt, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.